Welcome to the Komfy Kouch podcast. Yeah, and what a comfy couch it is. Too bad we're not sitting at it yet.
Oh, that's great. That just gives me. It's just funny.
Why is that funny?
I don't know why that's funny. I just hear you say, maybe it was just, I guess when we listen back and do this before posting it for these lovely people who are listening, I'll know, but
right now you're just not sure. Just it just gets you every time.
It just gets me. There's no rhyme or reason.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. So this is going to be a very, very interesting episode. I say that because, well, we're going to be touching base on a very, very sensitive topic, at least to us, and I'm sure to a bunch of other people. So we've got alcohol ready at the helm. And a couple of other things in preparation for this, because this is going to be quite the topic, and I don't really know how to go about starting it off, because I don't really know what we're deciding to call this podcast to give you an idea of what this episode is going to be about. So that might be something that we figure out as we get into it, but I can tell you at least the topic of discussion for this episode will be primarily in regards to childhood trauma, which we both have suffered a lot of. So we both have quite a bit of input that we can put into this. Here's a little listener's warning though, because this will be going out to some people who are probably not going to like what they hear, but guess what? It's our lives. So, as you know from before, or if this is your first time listening to us, I'm Otis, and she is the date, 420.
Yeah, I'm 420.
So, I'll let you talk for a moment and discuss how you feel about the topic. We don't have to get into the topic quite yet, but...
Yeah, well, what I would like to say is probably like obviously, you can't see us, but, the whole viewer discretion is advised type thing. You're not, viewing us, but you're listening. So, listener, yeah. It's just, I know that it can be a sensitive topic for people. So, I guess what I'm going to say is, I wouldn't be offended if you stopped listening right now. Because you just don't want to listen to childhood trauma.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to be mad. I get it. But,
yeah, definitely a listener's warning. If you don't want to hear about childhood trauma, or if hearing about childhood trauma reminds you of your own trauma, then you can stop now. Right. Because it's gonna get heavy. That's the way I'm gonna put it. It's gonna get heavy. There's gonna be some serious shit going on. That's why we got the alcohol. Because this is gonna be a big one. She's already lighting up a cigarette. Here we go.
Is you talking about it?
We haven't even started yet.
Good thing I got cigarettes. Gonna have to get another pack by the time we're done with this. I've only been going for 3 fucking minutes. Damn.
Yep, and she's already lighting up a cigarette, and I'm already sipping on the alcohol. Margarita, pre-mixed.
It's delicious.
In case anybody's wondering, it's really, really good.
Get it at your local BJ's today.
Right? Okay, so I don't know exactly how to segue into this.
I could say we shall go back. We have to go back a ways. I mean,
for both of us.
Yeah, for both of us. You're older than me, because you're old. Just kidding.
Thanks.
You're not old. I love you. I mean, where did it all start?
That's going to be the big question. All right. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're going to light your cigarette. So, all right. If we're going to be real about this, let's just dive right into it. When, for you, Otis, was your first, childhood trauma experience that you can recall?
Well, see, it's going to start off lighthearted, and then it's just going to go downhill from there.
To be expected.
Yeah, but mostly the reason why it's going to go downhill, again, I'm sure some people will be able to relate. I really, really hope to God you can't, especially from my perspective. I really hope to God you can't relate, but I unfortunately know that there will be some people out there who will be able to relate. But for me, my childhood trauma started like how most kids' trauma starts, is being bullied at school. For me personally, it was because of the fact that I have an eye disease. I can't see all that well. I'm actually almost completely blind in one eye, and I could never do any physical contact sports. So I couldn't really participate in gym very often when I was in school, specifically elementary. I'm going back to young days, my youngin' days back in the day. So I used to have to wear protective goggles in gym class, and I hated wearing them with a burning passion of 1,000 suns, because every time that I did wear them and participate in gym, I would get bullied, and basically, the whole 4 eyes routine, except for me, it was much fucking worse because it was massive protective goggles that I had to wear over my glasses. So I was more like 6 eyes as opposed to 4 eyes. Because I had, obviously, you know, your natural 2, and then I had a pair of glasses, and then I had to wear my goggles over my glasses. It was not fun, and I got bullied a lot for that, in and outside of gym. Because obviously most of the people that I went to in the gym with were people from my class, too. So I had to deal with them for the, 7 hours or so of however long school is. I can't remember anymore. I haven't been in school in years.
Too long.
Too long, put it at that. So that's where mine started, at least for the school portion of mine anyways. We'll touch base on home trauma.
So are we going to divide this into...
Yeah, we'll divide this into sections. I feel like that's the only way we're going to be able to get through this without either going through and having to go to the store to get another pack midway podcast or having mental breakdowns.
Or both.
Or both.
Okay, so for me, as far as my childhood trauma regarding school and the bad issues I had, let's see. I'm going to say mine probably started around, maybe elementary school, 4th grade, 5th grade, something like that. You know, it started with kids picking on me for my height or my weight, and then as we got older and went through my school years with a lot of these kids, it then progressed to them making fun of, they would make fun of the way I look, or they'd make fun of my clothes, the way I dressed, because I liked Care Bears, and I got made fun of wearing Care Bears when I was in, 7th grade? I don't see what the fuck is wrong with Care Bears. Why does that, I just thinking to myself, why did that matter to you? My clothes don't affect you.
Yeah, people used to make fun of me because I like the Backstreet Boys.
The Backstreet Boys are awesome.
Yeah, I still like the Backstreet Boys to this day. Yeah. I don't care what people think. Music is music to me. If it sounds good, I like it. I don't care if it's the Backstreet Boys. I don't care if it's Elvis Presley. I don't care if it's Beethoven and Bach. If it's music and it sounds good, I'm gonna like it.
Exactly. So as far as, mine would go back to elementary also, as far as the start of it. It never ended after elementary, and was bullied in middle school and junior high and the high school. I actually... Part of the reason I transferred from the one high school I was going to the other one is because part of it was because of being bullied, but part of it was also because I work better in a smaller learning environment, more one-on-one type focus. But kids are assholes. That's why, even with our kids,
I honestly feel like that actually has gotten worse over time.
Kids bullying?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely.
I feel like kids nowadays deal with bullying a lot worse than what we did when we went to school.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
Especially for certain topics, which we will get into those topics in later episodes as well, but I'll just give a brief mention here, especially for those who are gay, lesbian, bi, transgender, every other name that there is for it.
LGBTQ community.
Yeah, especially when you're a part of that community, there's a lot of bullying that goes on.
Which is bullshit.
Because people just, for some reason, can't accept others for who they are, or who they feel that they are, who they want to be, what they want to be.
Right. I know you said we'll talk about this at a different topic, but I just want to say myself that, it doesn't matter, it shouldn't matter what private part somebody has between their legs that determines if they're, worthy of love, or what they're attracted to, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
And then at the end of the day, I'm just going to say this too. If a guy wants to be with a guy or a woman wants to be with a woman, it's nobody else's business but theirs.
Yep.
Let people love who they want to love.
Exactly. Do you have anything else to touch with the topic of school? Well, I would like to quickly add, before you...
No, go ahead. If you got something, feel free.
I just want to say that I really would like these to be interactive podcasts. Mm-hmm. And I know we had mentioned that last time, our first podcast, I should say last time, as if we've had multiple episodes. But,
well, it'll be a lot more interactive when we actually go live, too, so.
Well, obviously, I would hope so. We'd be live. But you should do this one as a premiere. Was the other one a premiere?
No.
Was it? No. But yeah, interactive. We wanna talk to people. I mean, I think that'd be the whole... That's the whole point of doing this, is to interact with other people and
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do as a premiere.
This is our side. You can hear us. Obviously, you can't see us yet. You can hear us. So you're hearing our side, but now it's your turn. What's your side?
Yeah, exactly.
So your voice this is a place for your voice to be heard.
Exactly.
Yes. Now, with that being said, well, first I'll ask, do you have anything else to add to this school subject of bullying and just kids being assholes? I know if our kids ever come home and I have some parent knocking on the door or getting some phone call, your son, your daughter is being a bully to my son, my daughter, I know hell's gonna go down in this house.
Oh yeah.
I know that much.
We ain't playing that.
No. Mm-mm.
And that goes for any type of bullying.
Yeah.
We're not talking just like bullying somebody because of, because they act different than you do, or because they listen to different music than you do, or because they dress differently than you do. We're also talking about people being bullied because of
their skin color.
Their skin color, that's the big one. That was what I was going to say.
Yeah. Their sexuality.
And their sexuality.
Heck, even their religion.
Yep, that too. It's so sad that we live in a world that still can't accept people for who they are. It's like, underneath the skin, we literally are all the same. We're all just flesh and bone.
Yep.
But because of the way somebody acts or dresses or their skin color or their religion or their sexuality, for some reason that makes people feel that they have the right to judge other people based on those aspects of their life when it literally has no impact on yours whatsoever.
Exactly.
And that goes to the bully, not the...
But
yeah, for me in school, that was mostly what I got picked on, was for the glasses, the goggles, and then for some reason people felt the need to pick on the fact that I like to listen to Backstreet Boys. And like I said, I still like to listen to the Backstreet Boys today.
Yeah.
I don't care. Music is music to me. Hell, I'll even jam to some Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana every now and then. I don't care.
Yeah, I like it too. So... And
that's just the lighthearted stuff. That we haven't even gotten to the heavy stuff yet.
I was actually about to segue into it.
Oh boy.
You're gonna have your other cigarette already, huh? So, family life. Wow, babe. We both have family life trauma.
This is where it's gonna get heavy. Listener discretion is advised.
So, just how deep are we going?
Deep.
I'll let you lead the way then.
Like the bottom of your soul deep.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, well, I'll give a little bit of examples here, and then I'll let you take the helm, and then we can go back and forth. And we'll start out with the small stuff and work our way up as far as the family trauma goes.
Oh boy, okay.
Yeah, because mine will get pretty freaking hectic. A lot of it I wish I could block out. So, unfortunately, I know there are some who are going to be able to, again, relate, although I really wish you wouldn't be able to, because I don't feel like this is anything that anybody should be able to relate to, but unfortunately, again, circumstances. So not only was I bullied in school, I was also bullied by my family as well, specifically my cousins, if you will. I'll get to the other stuff later, but mostly because I always got left out with certain aspects of family events because of, again, my eye condition. So my cousins would always all take off with each other to go play football or some other kind of sports, like contact sports type stuff to do at like family gatherings. And I would always just be sitting there by myself, nobody to talk to, nobody to play with, nothing, because everybody else wanted to go do contact sports type stuff, and I wasn't allowed to do that because of my eye condition. So a majority of family events for me were spent pretty much just me twiddling my thumbs or talking to myself, which is pretty freaking depressing.
Yeah.
Even worse part about it is I don't think any of the family ever even realized, except for one, my aunt. I think she was the only one that ever really realized what was going on. I won't say names, but if she ever hears this, I'm sure you know who you are.
Yeah, I too relate to being left out. I mean, I had one cousin that I was close with for a little while, but then her and I just, as we got older, grew apart. We still talk occasionally here and there, but her and I were really close. Obviously, I'm not going to say names either, but I saw my cousins at, like, family gatherings. There were certain cousins I saw at family gatherings, and then there were certain other cousins that I saw more frequently. This one female cousin of mine that I was close with, she actually has a brother, and he was close with my brother at one point. I don't know where they all stand today because I don't talk to my male cousin that I'm referencing, and I don't talk to my brother because he won't talk to me. But that's a different situation. I think it's the worst when it's from your family. Like, just as people will hear, the deeper we continue to go into this conversation, it's just the closer the family member, the shittier it is, and it's all trauma.
Yep. It's like dealing with the school stuff. That's one thing because eventually you grow out of school. You get out of school and I would say more than half of the people you went to school with, you'll probably never see again for the rest of your life.
Right.
Maybe once or twice in passing.
Right.
But family, you're stuck with for forever.
Exactly.
Until the day either you unfortunately pass on or the day that they unfortunately pass on.
Right.
So it makes it a lot harder because you're stuck with them for life, basically.
Yeah, I guess going from cousins to siblings, your sibling you get along with, well, both of them. Yeah. I know you're not close with the one because you didn't grow up in the same house.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she's younger, but
obviously me and the one spent probably about half of her life living in the same house, so we were always around
your first
each other.
Sister, yeah. But
that's probably, honestly, my number one, which should go without saying anyways, my number one most favorite family member would be my sister.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't take offense to any other family members that listen to this down the road. I'm sure, again, you know who you are. You're also some of my most favorite family members. Again, I'm sure you'll know who you are if you ever listen to this. Most of you live in the same house, if that's not a dead giveaway. So, I'll just leave that at that. Sorry if I cut you off.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say that, like, you and your one sister that you are /were close with, like, obviously, as I just said, you guys were close opposed to different brother-sister relationships, such as what I have. I have the opposite spectrum in this instance.
Yeah, this is all you.
Because you and your sister get along, and you still get along, and I love you brothers. I do. But my brothers are assholes. They are. Especially the one, the third child that my mother birthed out. The third male. I mean as specific as I can without saying his name.
Yep, I already know what you're talking about.
Oh, I know. He works at a lovely place down the street that my mother likes to visit all the fucking time.
If that's not a dead giveaway,
when her daughter's in the other goddamn direction, but she doesn't want to come visit her daughter, does she? Nope, she doesn't. But anyways, that's just me expressing a little bit right there. Don't mind me, guys. So, but back to my brothers, though. So, first I should explain how many brothers I have.
Yeah, this is going to be good.
This is going to take a minute. So, technically, okay, this might be a little difficult to follow along since I'm not saying names. Maybe I'll make up some fake names. I might make up fake names just so it might be a little easier. So, we'll see how it goes. So, I'll start off by saying I technically have a total of 8 brothers, technically.
She's the only female.
I'm the only girl out of all of these boys. So my mom, including me, had 4 kids, 3 boys and girl, me. My biological dad, he had me, and then 2 boys who are, one of them is younger than me by a month, figure that out. And the other one is younger than me also, but I'm not sure what his age is. My birthday is in December of 94, and my one brother, his birthday is in January of 95. So he moved on pretty quick, didn't he? Anyways, so there's them, and then I have from my stepdad, I have 3 other brothers. Now my stepdad has been there for me as my dad, so I don't call him my stepdad. I'm just saying that as, I guess, reference.
A way to make it easier to follow.
To follow, instead of saying my dad this and my dad that when I'm talking about 2 different people. Not that I call my biological dad my dad, because that's just a sticky situation, but again, I'm not going to say names. So that's how I have a total. So 4 plus the 3 plus the 2. And I didn't grow up with the 2 boys my biological dad had. I didn't grow up with them. I didn't grow up with my biological dad either, for that matter. We're talking, it's going to take a little bit. What are we at? We got 26 minutes already. We're going to go over a little bit.
I'm sure we are. This one's probably going to hit the 45-minute marker close to.
No, but, okay, so I have 8 brothers, technically. I only have really acknowledged 6 of them, because as I was starting to say, I didn't grow up with the other 2. I didn't grow up with some of my other ones, but it's a confusing story. It is, because like my stepdad used to live in the same neighborhood as my mom on the other side of the street. He used to live around the corner. She lived on one street, and then you drive, turn around, and there, bam. So his backyard, actually, if you were to go in his backyard, it was facing my mom's house, so you could see my mom's house, her front yard and stuff. So that's a little bit, I guess, description. I'm not sure why I shared that, but I did. So now you know. And so I have a couple of brothers who would pick on me, but there's one specifically, and I just got a whole lot of emotion towards the one that I briefly mentioned before I went off my tangent of how many brothers I have.
And this is the one that you don't really talk to, right?
Oh yeah, he won't talk to me.
Yeah. I was just making sure that I knew.
Yeah, it's that
person.
one.
Okay.
Which, honestly, truthfully, I hope he hears this. I hope he does. And I hope that he hears how broken my heart is and how fucked up the situation is of why he's ignoring me and why he won't talk to me, which I was just trying to protect my daughter.
We won't get into that here. That's personal stuff, but...
I mean, I personally don't mind mentioning it, but maybe a different podcast that could... I personally don't mind going really deep. I don't mind people knowing my trauma and my scars. I know family that hears this is going to say probably that I'm lying and I'm over dramatic and that different things never happened or that they didn't happen the way I remember them happening. But that's just because my family likes to gaslight me.
Very, very good use of the word.
Very good use indeed. And it's funny because obviously, again, not saying personal information, but with my last name starting with a G, gaslight, that's just funny. GG. Making connections, I don't know.
Yeah, this is gonna get touchy, and this is just her story. We haven't even gotten mine yet.
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to, I think, pussyfoot around it on purpose, because,
She also would have a little bit more in regards to at least this specific part of the topic when it deals with siblings.
Yeah.
Because, as she said, she has 8 brothers, so there's 9 of them if you include her. Whereas me, it's just me and my 2 sisters, and one of them is only, I think 8 years old, maybe 9. Unfortunately, I can never remember. I don't see her very often. Mm-hmm. As for the other sister, she'll be 21 this year. So a lot of my life was spent with her. We lived in the same house for the first 12 years of her life. But that's all I've got. I've just got the 2. So I don't have this sibling cluster, if you will. So obviously when talking about siblings, she's going to have more to go based off of the topic of the podcast this episode. She's going to have more to go off of than I will because I got along great with my sister.
What's that like?
Something that I thought that every sibling should go through, but apparently me and my sister are a rare occasion.
There were times that I wanted to go play a game with my brothers, like a video game, and there's 2 brothers I'm speaking of specifically. One of them I get along with now, the other one I don't. Never
Again,
have.
the same brother, the one that no longer talks to her.
Yeah, for a different reason though, than what I'm saying about. But there was different times, I don't know if I told you this, I think I did. Maybe not. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, there was different times that I would go into my brother's room and to watch them play and they would tell me to get out. Or there was times where my brother actually likes to make fun of me, or used to, because there was one morning that I was a little kid, mind you. I was a little kid. I was probably 8 years old, 9 years old. I was a little kid. And there were times that I would wake up in the morning, say on a Saturday, and I'd go into my brother's room right next to mine, and there were times that I would have a stuffed animal in my hand or something, and I would ask my brother, can I play? Now, by this point, if my one brother is listening, I know he's laughing his ass off because he's an asshole, and I don't think that it bothers him he's an asshole, and I think that's what's really sad. He would make fun of me, and he would even do a voice imitation, which I'm not even gonna try, because it was just a voice making fun of me, and apparently how I sound to him. Just like there were other times he would impersonate me, his version of me, I should say, and he would make me sound like, I think it was John Lennon. I don't even know who the fuck it was supposed to be, but he would always fucking say, I just remember the different shit or how he would talk. There's actually, my brother has a YouTube channel, and there's actually a video on his YouTube channel from years ago of him doing his different voice impersonations, and he's got other people in there too, as far as family members and stuff, my dad, for example, my stepdad, which is his biological dad, is my stepdad, which is a whole sticky situation in itself for my emotions anyways. I just don't understand, what's the point of making fun of your sibling? What's the point of picking fun on them? My brother would make fun of me and I'd get upset, but then I would get told that I'm being too sensitive. What sense does that make? Let me hurt your feelings and then complain to you for you having hurt feelings. And it wasn't just this one specific brother of mine who would say I was too sensitive. Even my mom to this day, I still get told that I'm too sensitive. And it's just like...
Although if some people were to look into borderline personality disorders, they could understand some of these problems. But that's just me putting in my 2 cents.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, I think family should, in a perfect world, I guess it's a fairy tale. In a perfect world, families should love each other. Like, they should be there and communicate and be supportive and open-minded. And, like, this is like, if you think about it, like, this is like your tribe. Like, these are your people. This is your family, your blood. You're from the same...
What's that like?
I mean, technically, we all are. It's just we don't all feel that way.
Yeah, I think some of my friends are more family to me than most of my family was.
Yeah, you and me both.
Which is sad.
Shout out to my friend in Maryland and my friend in Michigan. You know who I'm talking about.
Shout out to my friend in Italy and my friend in Slovenia and my friend in England. You know who you are, if you ever hear these.
We got friends. You know, that's the thing, too. It's like our friends aren't even in the same state as us.
Or in my case, the
same country. Or the same country, yeah. Like, you people who are hearing this that we're mentioning, our friends, move to New York.
Right?
Or find a way for us to move to you, please. Because New York sucks without you guys.
I would like all of my friends to move here.
Okay.
Just so I could have a little Bullet Club reunion in person.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, there's a specific little group of friends that I have, and that's what we call the group of friends. I just call it Bullet Club. I know it's a wrestling term. I'm a big wrestling fan, so that's where I got it from. But that's my family.
It's the Bullet Club?
Yeah, that's my family.
Bullet Club, yeah.
Like, obviously, I have my family here in this house, but, like, as, like, my family, like, I consider them, like, immediate family in comparison to some of the other people who are actually supposed to be my family.
Yeah.
And, yeah, see, she's talking about her and her sibling and the specific sibling in particular, the can I play and making fun of her and stuff. See, me and my sibling, my sister, were the complete opposite. I loved having my sister watch me play video games. She used to watch me play The Sims all the time. So much so that now she loves playing The Sims. She used to watch me play my wrestling games all the time. She used to watch me play Fable for the Xbox all the time. She used to beg me to play Fable. She loved when I played Fable and The Sims. And she also, because of me, is very big into Dragon Ball Z because of me. I used to watch it all the time when I lived with my parents, and she would watch it with me, and she enjoyed it, so she got into it. To the point to where now every year for Christmas, she'll either give me a Dragon Ball Z figure, or she'll give me an entire season of Dragon Ball Z on DVD. So, in my regards, I can't really say anything about siblings, because the one that I was just mentioning, obviously, like I said, we were close, and I still consider us to be close. We don't talk as much, but she's also busy with college and stuff. And my other sister, I only see her a couple times a year, and she's only, like I said, I think she's like 8.
So, what do you guys have? Do you guys have siblings? How many brothers or sisters do you have? And do you guys get along with your siblings, or were you guys always fighting? I'm curious.
Yeah.
So,
see, like, from the outside looking in, I have seen siblings go at each other's throats. My cousins specifically, there's 2 sets of brothers that I know from my family who used to do that to each other all the freaking time. They would always be at each other's throats. I'm not going to mention names for the sake of them, because obviously they're older now and they get along now, but when they were younger, they were always at each other's throats. Constantly at each other's throats. To the point to where, I'm sure this will give away, if they ever hear this, I'm sure they'll know that this is about them. To the point to where there was a day to where my aunt had gotten a phone call saying that her sons had gotten into a fight at school. And my aunt was thinking, okay, so somebody was messing with one of the brothers, and the other brother decided to jump in to help his brother. No, that wasn't the case. They were getting into a fist fight with each other. Like, come on now.
I never got into physical stuff with my brothers, but, I mean, obviously with me being a female, I think respect should be given both ways as far as, not abusing. My one brother, he used to wrestle me a lot. And when I say wrestle, I don't mean, like, high school wrestling. I mean, like, WWE wrestling. Like, he would try to do, like, different moves on me. And he wanted to do, I always forget the proper name to it, unless I am saying it correctly, the one that Jeff Hardy would do, the Swanton Bomb or whatever the fuck it was called, his signature move where he'd jump off the turnbuckle and then do like a flip and land on the person. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother would always try to, I would fucking move, but like outside on the trampoline and shit. I remember this one time he pushed the trampoline up to the house because there was like a lip on my house, like a small amount of siding, because like just the way the house was and stuff in the backyard. And he would kind of try to get up on there the best he could. And that's where he would, like, flip off and stuff. Because he was into wrestling when he was younger. I don't know if he still is. I don't think so, but I don't know. My cousin is, though. So, anyway, so yeah, I had my two brothers that would bully me. But they would usually bully me together, not typically separate. And unless it was the one brother. So, that might be kind of confusing for people who don't know what I'm talking about. So, my second brother and my third brother would always make fun of me together. But if it was just my third brother, he would make fun of me just by himself. My second brother didn't usually make fun of me by himself. It was when he was with my third brother. Hopefully that makes a little more sense. I think it does. But I don't know that for this episode, for me personally, I guess going any more into siblings. But that would then bring up the next tier of authority.
Which is the fun tier.
Our parents.
Yay.
I'll let you take the topic.
This is where it's going to get heavy and fun at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So, going slightly back to the being bullied at school, not only was I bullied at school, I was also bullied at home. Specifically by my dad. And guess what? I don't give a shit. I'm saying names. Rob's an asshole. I don't care. So...
Hey, you didn't say last names.
No, I can.
I mean, I don't care either way. I still want to meet him. If you ever hear this somehow, some way, I want to meet you, Rob. I want to meet you. I'm in New York and I'm waiting to meet you. Sorry, go ahead.
So basically, I don't exactly remember how old I was when this all started, so bear with me because I gotta backtrack a little bit. Or, as a famous internet term, backtrace it.
What? That's an internet term?
I'll explain it to you after the podcast.
Okay, I was going to say, because I've never heard that. So
yeah, I'll have to show you it. It's a YouTube thing.
Oh, okay.
And the cyber police.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's from the same thing. I'll have to show you.
Yeah, we'll talk after.
So, like I said, I don't remember exactly how old I was when this started, so I could be doing a little bit of scrambling here, because I still don't really remember. I can, however, remember that when I was younger, and I'm talking like... up until I was maybe 6 or 7, I was actually, I would say, kind of close with my dad to where, and I've told 420 about this multiple times, to where there would be nights to where he didn't get home until like 5 or 6 o'clock at night because he was a contractor. He owned his own contracting business. So he'd leave by like 6 or 7 in the morning and not get back until like 5 or 6 at night. And I would purposely be up in my room staring out the window in the driveway just waiting for him to park into the driveway and run downstairs and screaming, "Dad's home," and run outside to give him a hug and say hi or whatever. Then it ended up getting to the point to where apparently he didn't like that anymore. And I'm going to start this off small and work my way up because this is you're in for a roller coaster ride, to quote a song from Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
It was the best thing I could think of. So eventually it got to the point to where he didn't want me around him, to where anytime that I would try to be near him, like for example if he was just sitting in the living room watching TV, and if I were to try to go into the living room and sit in the living room with him to watch TV with him, it would last maybe about 30 seconds, and then he would look at me and go, "What the fuck do you want? Get away, you're bothering me." How's that for a dad, Rob? And then, not only did that start happening, but it got to the point to where, like I had mentioned before, not only did I get bullied at school, I got bullied at home, to where if I messed up something, as most kids typically do, I was called an idiot, dumbass, a retard, a moron, the N-word on a couple of different occasions by my own dad. How's that for a swift kick in the nuts? I'm going to pause it there, and I'll let you talk about yours a little bit, and then I'll go into the heavier stuff after, because I feel like I'm going to go to cigarette talking about this.
Mine was not physical abuse. Mine was not... Well, there was one time, but overall, mine was not sexual abuse. Mine was mostly verbal, and then there's the whole fact that my biological dad didn't want me, and he claims that he didn't know that I even existed or that my mom was pregnant with me or existed or whatever until I was already years after my mom had me, like 6 or 7 or something, he claimed. But I mean, I think that in and of its own is fucked up. Like, how can you leave your child? If you can get someone pregnant, as far as a guy or as a woman even, because it's not just the guys, I know women can leave their children too.
Which is, to my knowledge, it's not as common that I know of.
Right. I mean, I personally don't know anybody that I can think of whose mother has left them. I hear more about fathers leaving. And I don't know if it's just, I don't know why. I don't know if there's just not an emotional attachment because it's not their hormones that are changing. It's not their body that's growing this child. I don't know why. It's always been a question in my mind is why. Why did you leave me? And how could you leave me? And it's sad that I have experience with that, but at the same time I feel like I was meant to have experience with it because of my daughter's biological father not being in the picture for her either. He is also a deadbeat piece of shit, and now because of my experience I'll be able to relate to my daughter, to actually do know, like I will truly know the pain that she's going through because it's the same situation. Not to a T, but it's pretty close in situation. So I mean, there's that. That's some pretty heavy childhood trauma for me, is the whole abandonment. I've seen court papers that my mom has shown me. So I've heard, and honestly, I'm still up in the air. I don't have a definite opinion. I don't believe my mom fully, and I don't believe my biological dad fully. Obviously, I was a little kid, so like I was there, but I wasn't there at the same time because I didn't have the ability to grasp the adult situation as a little kid, of course, because it wasn't my place to. I shouldn't have had to grasp this stuff. He decided that he wanted to apparently meet me when I was somewhere between 7 and 9. I usually say 8 years old, it's right in the middle, but he decided he wanted to meet me, and I met him for the first time in a counseling office, and it was just crazy. And then that only happened for a short time, and then I hadn't seen or heard from him after that for years. And to my knowledge, unless there's something my mother hasn't told me, which wouldn't surprise me because there has been situations like that before, but to my knowledge, after that, as a little kid in the counseling office, he didn't try to contact me again or like see how I was doing in any way, shape, or form until I was 18, to which when I was 18, I call it running away from home, but at 18, you're an adult, you're legally an adult, so technically it wasn't running away since I could have had the freedom to leave as I did, but it just it felt like running away. It had the same intentions as running away, except for I was 18. You know, I packed my bags. I didn't tell anybody when I was going. I didn't tell anybody where I was going. I ended up going with an ex-boyfriend of mine about 2.5, 3 hours away from where I was living with my parents at the time. And so it wasn't even like that far. It's not like I went to a different state or anything. Probably should have, but we didn't. I don't know why. So there's that. I've got that since we're talking about fathers. Got the start of I'd say that's where my trust issues started too. I have very complex and complicated trust issues for multiple reasons, especially with men. Women too, a little bit, but not really. Women is more so because of situations that have happened with my mom and situations that have happened with an old friend of mine. And like that's pretty much it. My female role models overall were, good. They weren't bad. They didn't mistreat me that I can remember. I miss my grandma. She was a good role model. We lived right next door to her, like literally walked right next door. But yeah, that's where my childhood trauma as far as family life starts. It starts at the fact before I was even born that I was left. I was abandoned. I didn't have him growing up. I did have my stepdad, him and my mom got married in 2003, I think, or 2004. I don't remember. It was either 2003 or 4. And now when I was little, and he's been there for me physically and financially, but I don't have a connection with him. He's not my biological dad. We don't do stuff together. We don't typically have heart-to-heart conversations. I think a lot of that it's not because I don't want to have close relationships with people. It's because a lot of people don't seem to understand my borderline personality disorder, and they don't want to understand it. They don't try to understand it. They just instead call me names. They call me crazy and psychotic and a bitch and a slut and a whore. And those are names that my parents have called me. And again, just as with Otis, those are not things you should ever say to your child. You don't call your child a whore or a slut. You don't say that. Like,
or stupid or idiot
Yeah.
The N-word.
Yeah, exactly. None of those are remotely in any way, shape, or form, not even kind of sort of okay to call your kid. Or another person for that matter, but speaking of with family and our parents. Not that we haven't said stuff back to them, but at the same time, they deserve it. Because if you're going to treat us like shit, why do we have to treat you good? And I think that's something I ignored for a while. And then because of my BPD and the fact that I'm stubborn, some things take longer for me to, I guess understand or like grasp, which you've been helping me with. I could go off on so many different topics right now. Like that's just a merge way. So
yeah, I feel like this is one of those episodes that's probably gonna have to have a second part.
I mean, probably. Didn't we say the first one was gonna also? Did we?
If we can think of more to say about it, yeah. But this one, I think this topic specifically, I think we can both definitely add a lot more to it.
Oh yeah.
Because like right now we're at what?
58 minutes.
Yeah. It said we were all gonna be about 45 minutes, and we're already almost an hour in, and I haven't even gotten to the heavy stuff about my childhood yet with my dad. So this is gonna be a long episode.
I hope your ears are ready. If they weren't ready, like an hour ago.
Yeah, because this is where it gets fun for me. Lots and lots of fun to be had here at the Komfy Kouch podcast, talking about family and specifically in the current topic being parents or parent in my case.
So why don't you take it away? Go ahead and explain your next.
One thing that I will say though, before I really go into this, is there's one thing that always drove me insane with people, and that is, I understand that not every case is the same, but if you're somebody, like in 420's case, although she's never said this to me herself, but there are other people who have said this to me, and this is why I bring it up. If you're somebody who doesn't have their biological father in their life, don't automatically assume that somebody who does have their biological father in their life means that their life was better. Because I've been told that throughout my entire life, at least your dad was there statement. And to be honest with you, I wish he wasn't. For the reasons that I'm about to get into. So don't always assume that just because somebody had their biological dad in their life means that their life was somehow much better than what it would have been if he wasn't there. Because I honestly feel like my life would have been better if he wasn't there.
Everything happens for a reason.
So,
the shitty stuff.
So, as she had mentioned before, hers wasn't necessarily physical abuse, whereas mine, unfortunately, was. So not only did I have the mental and emotional abuse of being bullied by my own dad, I also had the physical abuse as well on top of it all. With that being said, there's several instances that I can definitely reference, but due to time and because the story that I can tell probably will sum up a vast majority of my childhood life in one story, which I believe I have told you the entire story of this before, with the graduation party.
Oh, yes, you've told me.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, I had just graduated high school, so I was 18 at the time. And the first thing that really I felt kind of fucked over in this regard was the fact that not only was I graduating high school, but a cousin that I had also went to school with also had graduated high school the same year. So my family decided to combine our graduation parties. The mass majority of the time that I can recall was spent around the other cousin and everybody congratulating her and basically telling her, you're gonna get far in life, and me just sitting there like, yeah, I graduated too, guys. Hi, I'm over here. After that was all said and done, I went home. My dad brought me home. I think my mom was working, if I recall correctly. So she wasn't even there. I wish she was. So we get home, I go up to my room, and my dad, I don't remember what he came upstairs for, opened my bedroom door and started screaming at me about my room being a mess. Whatever, not that big of a deal, just pick it up, whatever. Then for some reason he decided to assume that I was high. Mind you, I didn't smoke. I don't really smoke weed. Ever. I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel good. I stand behind the 420 community, so don't get that one twisted, because obviously the other person in the podcast is named 420 for a reason. Mm-hmm. But
which actually I'm about to smoke up right now.
Yeah, so I have no problem with people who do smoke. I just personally don't indulge in it myself. It's not for me. It's not my thing. It doesn't make me feel good. It actually makes me feel extremely paranoid.
More for
I don't
me.
like it.
More for me.
Anyway, so he asked me to look into the light and asked me what was wrong with my eyes. Something to that regard. To which I said, oh, you mean the fact that the light is burning my eyes because I have an eye problem? And that's when he said, were you smoking pot? And I had to chuckle because I didn't smoke pot. I hated smoking pot. So I chuckled and said, no. or yeah, okay, or something to that regard, to that effect. To which this man, who is supposed to be my dad and is supposed to protect me, decided it would be a good idea then to literally grab my head with his hand and bashed my head into a TV, to which I obviously fell. Then he proceeded to kick me as hard as he possibly could in the back, wearing shoes, mind you, not that makes it any better whether the shoes were on or off. And there was one other thing he did that involved marks around my neck. I can't fully remember now. Again, my mom still wasn't home at this point. So I then decided that I was going to take off that night. Thank God that I had a cell phone at that time that my parents didn't know I had. So the first thing I did was I contacted my cousin Becky, yeah, I'm going to name drop that one, and told her and her at the time husband Jeremy what had happened, and had asked them if I would be able to crash at their place for the night to get out of the house. And she said, yeah, just let me know when you're able to get out of the house to come over or whatever. So I waited. I just stayed in my room for as long as I could, just praying for when my mom got home. My mom got home. I went downstairs to let the dogs out, and when I let the dogs back in, that's when I took off. My cousin was only about a block and a half away from my house, so it's not like I went very far. So I went to my cousin's house that night and spent the night there. And when I woke up the next morning, I showed my cousin the mark on my neck and the mark on my back, and I believe I had a bump on my head at the time too. So the next day, my dad called my cousin's house, bitching up a storm, telling me to get my ass home, and I told him flat out on the phone, said, no, I'm not coming home till mom's home. I'm going nowhere near you until mom is home. To which I then got a phone call from my mother asking me what was going on, and I explained it to her and told her that I did not feel safe going back to the house until she was home. And then she proceeded to tell me what time she was going to be home. So I waited until that time when she was home, and then I went home. The messed up part about this entire situation is I ended up finding out later on from both my mom and my cousin and other members of the family that my dad tried to tell my mom and my cousin that I had put the marks on myself. So apparently somehow, some way, I was able to take my foot and bend it completely backwards and kick myself so hard in the back to leave a footprint in my back. Because like I said, my cousin saw the marks. She saw the marks on my back, the mark on my neck, and the bump on my head. And so did my mom. But yeah, my dad tried to say that I did it to myself.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Go for it.
So, you said your mom saw this?
Mm-hmm.
What'd your mom say?
Honestly, I don't remember. Do
you remember what she did?
Nope.
So
the only thing that I can vaguely remember from any of this was at the time my cousin, again, I'm gonna name drop, otherwise it's gonna get confusing. Bill was still with Kyle's mom at the time, Julie, and my mom was on the phone with her, talking with her about everything. And the only thing that I can recall is my mom saying something to Julie about he's lucky I didn't call the cops on him.
She should have.
That's all I can remember.
I wonder if she has regrets.
Now, like I said, there's a lot of other stuff that happened before that, like a lot of other physical abusive type shit. Like I've been choked, punched, slapped, pushed up against counters, thrown down steps. But that's one story in particular that I figured would be the best way to explain how from the time that I was, I'd say 8 to the time that I was 18, 19, that's how my life was at home. Because after I had hit 18, I wasn't home as much. Yeah, there was a reason for that, Rob. It's because of you, asshole. There's a reason why his last name is Dick, son.
I know, Karma's a bitch.
No offense to the other people in my family with that last name, but yeah.
Yeah. An apple spoils the bunch. I just can't believe that, like, I don't know about you. I think you probably would. But I know from my end, if my parents would ever hear this, and like me expressing how I viewed my childhood, it wouldn't go over well, because they would tell me that this didn't happen and that didn't happen.
Yeah, my dad would be the same way.
Try to tell me how to feel.
Yeah.
Which goes with the first podcast we
exactly.
had of Don't Tell Me How to Feel. I'm allowed to express how I viewed my childhood. Yeah. This is how it felt for me.
Yeah.
Like, maybe in your eyes that was your version of trying the best. Well, I'm sorry, but that your version of trying the best traumatized me. Like, I'm not trying to be a bitch. I'm just trying to be straightforward and blunt about it. It's like, I understand that. Like, I'm not saying that I'm a perfect parent either. I know that I've said stuff to upset our daughter, and I talked to her about it. I try my best to get through it with her, though. And I think that's the difference between my mom and I, is like...
Or my dad and me.
Yeah, or you and your dad. Is like, from my side, my mom says she has an open mind, and to most things she does, but when it comes to my mental health illness, my mental health with my BPD, she doesn't understand it. She doesn't want to understand it, and she never will. And that's really why we clash, is because she doesn't understand me. She thinks that I'm being sensitive and psycho and a bitch. Or over dramatic. I'm a drama queen. I'm this, I'm that. When, like, as if I'm, like, purposely trying to be this way. Like, I have an intention set in my brain of some sort when I don't. Like, there are certain things about my emotions and about the BPD, like, that I can't control. But I'm trying, and it's not going to be an easy overnight thing. It's going to take a long-ass time, because if I'm remembering correctly, and if somebody out there has more or better information, correct me if I'm wrong, but BPD, borderline, that stems from childhood trauma. Like, I was diagnosed at 18 years old from a psychiatrist with borderline. And that's when I came back from when I had left with my ex, as I call it, ran away, but again, not technically. It's sad for parents to abuse their power, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, some cases for some people sexually.
Which will be another podcast episode in itself.
Of course.
But thankfully, neither one of us experienced that, but unfortunately there are those out there who have. Right. But just because we haven't experienced it personally doesn't mean that we can't give our thoughts on it and give opinions and express and, you know.
Right.
Just because you haven't gone through certain things doesn't mean you can't show empathy for those certain things.
Right. There's still empathy and compassion. Like, if you're a good person and you have a heart, and, you know, obviously I don't mean that physically, I mean that metaphorically.
Another thing that I will add is, I already said it, but I'm just going to reiterate it again. After I had explained at least that part of my childhood trauma involving my dad, like I had said before, just because you have your biological dad in your life, don't have your biological dad in your life, doesn't mean that somebody who does, their life was better because of it. Because, like I had said before, I honestly wish he wasn't.
Yeah, everyone experiences things in their own way. Some wish they had their dad, some wish they don't.
Because I've made that statement multiple times before to other people, and some of those people were people who didn't have their biological dads, and their response to me is, "You don't mean that. You liked having your dad in your life." No, I didn't. My dad beat the ever-living shit out of me. And keep this in mind, too. This is where it gets real sad. My dad wasn't an alcoholic. My dad hardly ever drank. So my dad would do this with a sober mind.
Yeah, that's what makes it that much sadder. He's, like, consciously was beating you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm aware of what I'm doing, and I'm going to do it
then was
anyway.
Non-apologetic for it, which is part of the story that I forgot to tell, was when I was on the phone with my dad the next day, after I expressed about how he could have made me lose my vision, or could have possibly killed me from bashing my head into a TV, his response was, "So fucking what?" So, again, don't always assume that just because somebody has their biological dad in their life means that their life was better off that way. Because I would have taken not having a dad in my life over what I had to deal with for a good 10 or so years.
Yeah.
And this was not just a one-time occurrence. This was an all-the-time thing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Childhood trauma.
Yep.
Can I have my other cigarette?
Nah, I was about to see if I could snag another one from you, because, yeah, I had a feeling that this was going to be a big one. I think there's two.
That's, oh my gosh. Otis?
Yeah, we knew going in this was going to be a tough one.
Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions? Any stories you would like to share? Or maybe you don't want to share if it's personal. We've opened up ourselves to you.
And actually, I do have another thing that I would like to say.
Uh-huh.
If there is anybody out there, people who are involved with these stories or not, who feel that we should not be exposing our lives this way...
Oh, yeah, there's going to be people like that.
Guess what? Yeah, well, guess what? I don't give two shits what you have to say about anything. These are our personal experiences. It's our life, so if we want to share them with other people, guess what? We have every right to.
This cigarette tastes really good right now. It tastes like victory. I'm kidding.
And the only reason why I say that is because I was, for a short time, speaking with a therapist, counselor.
Which I think you should go back to.
And when I was telling him about this blog that I had started, which I should probably get back into.
You should.
Where I had actually told the same story that I just told on here involving my dad. His response basically was, "Why would you do that? Why wouldn't I? It's my story. If I want to tell it, I'm going to tell it." And he was basically trying to make it sound like that I shouldn't say that because my blog isn't private and other people can see it.
Like, yeah, that's the point.
It's like, yeah, that's the point. It's my story, and I'm going to tell it to people. Like, if I want people to hear what went on in my childhood involving my dad, I'm going to tell it. I don't give a damn if it hurts his feelings or not, because he hurt my feelings for 24 years of my existence of living with him, and still to this day does. Hence why we don't talk. Hence why he doesn't know any information about his grandkid, nor will he ever. Because, in my personal opinion, if he can treat his own son the way that he did, what's to stop him from treating his grandson the same way? Thankfully, as far as the physical part goes, we won't have to worry about that because he's in a different freaking country. Thank God. But if he can treat me like utter crap, being his own son, how would he treat his grandson?
Yeah, that's a big no-no. But we're allowed to speak our piece and to have our voices heard and to let people know that, like, they're not alone and that we understand pain. We
get it.
We get it. We're here for you on the Komfy Kouch podcast. We're like a big family and we're all gonna pass a joint around. Okay, you don't have to take it, you can pass it. It'd be appreciated if you did take it and puffed it. Puff, puff, pass. But no, for
and by that she means puff, puff, and puff some more.
Yeah, and then pass it back to me. But yeah, we're allowed to speak our piece. You don't have to agree with us. You can disagree with us. That's fine. Comment down below that you disagree with us. That's fine. Heck, I don't care if someone tells us to fuck off, because at the end of the day, they're words.
But, like,
they don't have to have meaning unless you give them
meaning. At the end of the day, I know that if anybody were to comment down below and tell us that they disagree with us, it'd be the people that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They want to defend their name. I get it. I'd want to defend my name too. But it's just sad when people when they're two-faced, when they put on a facade. Like my one brother, everyone thinks he's fucking great. He's so awesome. This brother, he can do no wrong. He is a fucking gift from God. Awesome. How? He's gonna be 31 this year and he lives in an apartment. That's not a great accomplishment. I mean, okay, he's out of mom and dad's house, great. He has been for years. Last I knew, his girlfriend didn't work. It's just him, and he works at a fish fry. But yet, my parents are so proud of him and love him so much, and he's going places, and my mom visits him like every fucking day that he's working, which is typically Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So every day that they're open. And I can't stand favoritism. And then I can't stand that people are actually blind to favoritism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why can't you just admit it? Just admit that he's your favorite. I already know. It's not like you're telling me some hard truth that I'm going to have to, brace myself for. I already know it. Don't tell me how to feel.
That's going to be a common theme in these podcasts, I feel. That very first episode. I think that was a great way to start off the podcast with that. Because I feel like that's going to be used a lot throughout the history of this channel.
I agree. It can definitely be used because it's true though. It's true on so many levels. Like, you can't tell me how to feel, how to experience this, what I should say, what I should do. Like, we're not puppets, we're not robots. We are our own people. We should be able to be individuals and
not sheep.
And not sheep, exactly. And just because we're in our instances for childhood trauma, our instances are majorly around family. And just because they're around family doesn't mean that obviously shit can't be fucked up. Like, I'm sure lots of people know that out there from their own experiences. And I find it funny, but I get upset at the same time when my family gets upset for me expressing myself. Because to them, I'm not expressing myself, I'm being a bitch, and I'm being dramatic with my feelings. Like, just because I'm passionate, and I have a lot of emotions and intensity, doesn't mean that, like, my experiences are less valid. You know what I'm saying? Like, the intensity of my emotion doesn't then take away and diminish the reality of what happened. Just because to you it's over dramatic. Because why? Because it didn't happen to you, so to you it's over dramatic? Tell me something dramatic that happened to your life, and then I'll just tell you you're being over dramatic.
Right?
And that didn't happen. It's not so fun when the shoe's on the other foot. I think our parents need to sit down and have a long look at themselves their inner selves.
I think they need to listen to this.
I think they can listen to this too. And then they can also listen to what I'm about to say. And I think that they should really sit down and, like, actually self-reflect. Like, actually give a shit. Like, truly, genuinely care for a minute. 100% about this one child. So in my parents' case, obviously just me, and in his case, just him. Not the other kids, just us. And reflect on what we've said. Which obviously it's not even the tippy tip top of the iceberg of what we could say to you as our parents.
Yeah, we
if we were going to be direct to you.
We tried to make this as short, sweet, and simple as possible.
And it's been an hour and a half.
Yeah. We could probably make this go on for, I'd say, probably a good another 2 or 3 hours if we really wanted to.
If we're going to take this in the direction of directing it at our parents, yeah. I got a lot to say, and that's not even with them giving me feedback for me then to respond again.
Yeah.
That's just from me voicing my opinion standalone.
So yeah, I definitely think that this is going to be another one of those podcasts that there will probably have to be a part 2 at some point down the road.
I just got an idea, but I'll mention it to you off audio.
Okay. Because I think it's probably about time to end this anyways, because...
I agree. I'm hungry.
After this, I got editing to do before this gets posted.
Yeah, and this is a long one, so you got a bit of editing to do, babe.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm hungry.
And I do believe, for those of you who are listening, that this will probably go up as a premiere. So there will be a chat.
Hey!
And we'll do our absolute best to be a part of that chat.
Fuck yeah.
But as of right now, I'm not 100% sure on that because it is after 6 o'clock in the morning. And I don't know about you, but I would still like to get a little bit of sleep before the kitties come home.
The kitties and the puppies.
Yeah, the kitties and the puppies.
Yeah.
So we'll try our best to be there, one of us, if not both of us, to
we'll be there.
Conversate with the people in the chat as you listen to this.
Hi.
And then eventually we'll be live.
I'm gonna smoke this bowl. Wait, I gotta repack it. Leave this in here. I want people to hear that I'm gonna pack my bowl. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I want them to hear that I'm telling you to leave it in here. Okay.
Alright, well, I think on that note, we're going to sign off now.
C'est la vie.
So hopefully all you have a great morning, afternoon, night, whatever time it will be for you when you are listening to this.
Yes, and comment down below. Share your opinions, the good, bad, and the ugly. Stories, whatever, just...
Whatever you got.
Whatever you got. We'll take it. We'll take all of it. All right. I'm going to say peace.
Bye-bye.